Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Book in the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
Woo, Messi, this is professional wrestler Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. Tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss Booking the Territory. Oh, yeah.
This is a one-man gang. You're listening to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hard Body Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the unprofessional wrestling podcast, where today we're talking NWA Saturday Night on TBS from November the 21st, 1987. This is the quote-unquote go-home show, or the last show before Starrcade 1987. And then later in this episode, it is part one with Les Thatcher. Yes, I sat down with Les a couple of weeks ago. If you're a patron, you would have heard it by now, but no worries if you're not, because part one will be this week and part two will be next week. Now, Doc, I would ask you how you're doing, but we just cut a 30-minute patron episode on the current affairs in pro wrestling, amongst many other things. So I'll ask Harper. Harper, how are you?
I just got back from Atlanta, bro. Almost didn't make it.
Really?
Yeah. Had to bail fucking Becky Lynch out of fucking jail. She fucking called me up all fucking crying. I'm stuck in jail. Those cops were real. Fuck. I was like, hold on, baby. She was all pissed off. She might miss her bookings and shit. It's like, fuck. Okay. I'll be over there. Fuck.
Your Becky Lynch imitation is not good. It used to be good.
No. I mean, how do you do it? She sounds like the Highlander, like Duncan McLeod.
Duncan McLeod. I haven't heard that one in a while.
I am immortal. Inside me is the blood of kings.
It's nice.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I have no rival. No man can be my equal.
Sing it, Harper.
Remember this afternoon when we said, you wonder what Harper's doing right now? who knew he was in Atlanta rescuing Becky Lynch?
Oh, yeah, bro. I picked her up.
We really just...
was all fucking fucked up.
We thought you were driving around Metairie fucking fighting ducks and shit with a wife. That was our best guess, but who knew you were saving the female division of WWE?
Right.
Yeah, I got to say, that's what I thought he was doing. Fighting ducks and shit. Hey, I got an announcement real quick before we actually get into the meat of this show. So, Doc, you did not know this, and Harper, you were not aware I was going to mention this, but not counting like bonus shows we've done, because we've done about 3 or 4 of those over the last few years, along with the Smoky Mountain shows, not counting those either, or Patreon shows. This is the 200th episode of this BTT flagship show that we have done. That means for 200 straight weeks, this show, which is now the NWA Saturday Night Show, it was once the Top 5 show. We even did Raw, SmackDown, and Impact bullshit on this show. This show has aired for 200 straight weeks, and this is the 200th version of this show.
Wow.
Well, fucking A.
Now what?
That's called consistency, baby.
You're fucking welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you count, if you do count Patreon shows, bonus shows,
shit, that's just what, over 400.
Yeah.
No, shit. Yeah, that may be like closer to 500.
Jesus.
Well, I don't count, not counting like the video reviews, because that's kind of the same thing as this show. But if you do like just the audio patron shows, bonus shows, and then Smoky Mountain shows, yeah, it's I got it at about 425, 430. I don't have an exact count, but it's well over 400. That's called rolling, bruh. We should be on Westwood 1.
There you go. Now you're
there
talking
you go.
The Jericho Network.
Yeah, we should be on Westwood 1 for sure. But you know,
Yeah.
Doc.
Nah, they would have to play their dumbass game, and I ain't into that shit. I ain't no corporate fucking idiot like these fucking assholes on WWE. You like what'd you think of them messing up Rick's birthday, man?
I didn't watch it. All I saw was fucking Becky go to jail. Dude, y'all know how they could have made that shit look fucking great?
If they were all naked.
Well, no, I'm telling you, you get Triple H who's ever in charge of the police, who's ever the fucking top cop for that building, he pulls him to the side and says, look, this is what we're doing, right? He tells him, she's going to jump and blah, 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 blah. What can we do?
Taser. That
can be the most highest disturbing the peace to where we push the envelope to where it's the most you can stay at disturbing the peace. And you find out what that is. And you have her do it. And you have her legit arrested. Put her in a real fucking police car by real fucking cops, brought to a real fucking jail, press real fucking charges with a real fucking mugshot. And it's just a disturbing the peace charge. And the fucking WWE attorney goes and pays some bullshit $200 fucking fine. She's in jail for like an hour. She's out. The charges get fucking dropped and nothing fucking happens. That's what this shit does.
You know what I can tell, Mike?
What?
Harper's never worked a goddamn day in a real corporation. Because that all is great, well thought out, makes perfect sense. And
because all you gotta do is fucking drop the charges. And
that's not how.
Happens.
No, our shareholders don't like that negative publicity, Harper.
Oh God.
Our corporate partners, our charities, the foundation, our customers, the ad revenue. No.
That's fucking perfect.
No, that will negatively impact the brand.
Oh, excuse me.
Right.
Excuse me for making it look real or sound real.
That's not what we're here to do, Harper. We're here to get over with the shareholders.
We're here to promote How to Fucking Train Your Dragon 2 while the guys are coming out to the ring, which kills their fucking entrance. Why even have a fucking entrance when you're just gonna throw a fucking commercial up with some fucking kid movie?
Well, we found through extensive market research that people don't mind to be co-branded, have co-branding and cross-integrated marketing strategies employed at the same time. We could do this all night.
Yeah,
but I do this for a living. So
Doc and I just spent 25, 30 minutes talking about the shit that happened this past Monday.
They fired Arn. Do you think they give a shit about what your wrestling concerns are?
Yeah. Why they fight? They just let him go, or
no? Apparently, he and Vince got into it backstage, yelling at each other.
That's nice.
Vince is cracking up, dude. Vince is looking old.
And if you want the full version of what really happened, because Doc has sources, it'll be up on Patreon by the time this show airs. It'll be titled Pre-Show November 21st, 1987, Saturday night. Doc had some sources in the back, and he found out what happened.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Hey, let me do a couple things.
I'm an industry insider.
Sure you are, pal. Shout out to our largest patron contributors monthly, who are Hall of Fame patrons Disrespectfully Classy, Marky Blassie, at K_Row86, and Mike Childry. And then I got a couple of new shout outs from new patrons: Kelvin Robin, Brian Daughtry, Marlon Mueller, who is at Half Pints Point on Twitter, moved over to Patreon from Podbean. He is now a Hall of Fame patron member. Cody Bryant, longtime BTT Hall of Fame patron, made the move over to Patreon too. Thank you, Cody. And then Josh Warren, longtime Patreon member as well, or patron member, also made the move over to Podbean and is now a BTT Hall of Fame patron. So thanks everybody for moving over to Patreon. Don't forget, on Patreon you get the video versions of the show along with the audio plus all the extra stuff we do, which is the world-class shows and whatnot. So Doc, do you have any Doc-A-Holic spotlights for the week?
No, but what I do think we should do instead of that is talk about our new pricing structure where we double the price on everybody.
That's cool.
Okay. Because that's what corporations do?
Yeah.
That's
and
nice.
here's what you get for your doubled rate. No more cursing.
A free reach around from Doc?
We're gonna be more professional. And if you want to pay extra, we'll let Harper curse on like just a very limited basis. It's a pay-as-you-go kind of cursing.
Everyone would cancel.
But you got to use the fucking promo code. Fuck you, 15 for 15% off.
The promo code would be fuck you 15. That's nice, Harper.
How long do you think it is at all these damn podcasts where these companies are like fucking advertising and then they have the meeting and they're like, so are we getting anything out of those wrestling podcasts? And then everybody cracks up laughing and they cancel their order.
That sucks.
I mean, we've been listening to podcasts long enough where, like, Casper mattress was a thing at a time.
The fucking Blue Apron. The fucking dog snacks.
Dude, I'm so glad Valentine's Day's over. So those goddamn gold dip roses shit, I don't have to hear about that ever again.
Wait, I just heard that one within the last week. I was listening to Bischoff's show on Super Brawl 3, and I heard them talk about the gold dip roses. I was like, holy shit.
That's some white people shit right there.
Yeah,
actually, that's black people.
Yeah, that's some black people. That's some tacky ass fucking New Orleans East bullshit. Gold tip fucking roses because they last forever. Get the fuck out of here, man.
No, it's not a gold tip rose. It's a gold dipped rose. Like the whole fucking rose is in gold,
that's
not
fucking
tipped.
Stupid.
You ain't got to, bro.
How much
to the choir.
How much is this fucking gold dipped rose?
I wasn't stupid enough to look up the price of it. Fuck that.
Late, asshole. It already happened. Once the bullet leaves the barrel, you can't fucking bring it back.
That's nice, Harper. I wasn't dumb enough to look up the price of it. Fuck that.
$59.95. Steven Singer.
$59.95.
For $59.95, man, that's like a molecule of gold on there, maybe.
Yeah. Dumb shit, bro. If you get the kind of woman that's impressed by shit like that, go home. Fucking leave her.
She's got like jewelry in her face and all kinds of shit.
Yeah. She's probably got that fucking Dr. Quinn medicine woman, a woman fucking chained from fucking Zales or whatever.
It's nice.
Got like fucking 2-inch fake fingernails and shit.
She's probably got the eyelashes on the headlights of her 2004 Nissan Altima.
God. He said that before on the show, and he's not lying. He is not lying. All right, Doc, you got any shout-outs, man?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out the Bottom Line Wrestling Podcast since they don't think I'm aware of what they're trying to pull off. They need to keep their mouth shut over there on Twitter where they're talking about shout-outs and shit. I listen to everything. I got my ears on everything. I'm reading everything. And if you guys don't want to get a stunner, y'all might want to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, Mike, he's fucking with you, man. I'm glad you mentioned Mike, though. He's a really good dude. He really is.
He?
Yeah, he really is. What else you got, Doc?
Nothing really. I don't really see a lot of people doing a lot of things that are worthy of being called out right now. So I say we get on into the show.
He's fucking with people.
Dude, no. Wait. Harper, did you see our girl Tammy got popped again?
Well, she didn't pay her fine, or she got another DUI.
Number 6.
Damn, bro, she's going to prison, bro.
Yeah, man.
6.
Oh.
How you gonna get popped for 6 DWIs, man? I've known some real shitheads in my time.
Yeah,
couldn't get north of 3.
Damn, bro. Put this way, if she gets 5 of them, she's an ace. She has 5 kills. She has 6.
Dude, it says here she was stopped just after 6:30. PM. PM.
Well, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
That's a good point.
That's a New Orleans saying, dude. I'm serious, bro. New Orleans is a city where you are liable to run into drunks at 11 a.m. that just started drinking at 6.
Well, they reportedly charged her with failure to stop at a stop sign, driving the wrong way on a one-way street, and driving with a suspended driver's license.
I'm not laughing. This is sad, dude, because she's.
Well, now we're not going to get her on the show, so it is sad.
That is. I mean, we're going to have to do the thing with the glass and the red phone, and she's going to have to put the red phone to the fucker.
Harper should put her hand up to yours on the glass.
We have Les Thatcher as a guest, and this is the type of stuff you two.
I bet Les has some stories too, if we're gonna be honest.
I tell you what, man, he is a classy dude. God, it was good talking to him.
He seems like a really great guy. I got a chance to peruse the audio earlier, and I got to tell you, he's a class act, but he's going to be the only one here.
Classy guy. No, he had a good time, he said.
So I guess Tammy's out.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
She's going to have to do some time at some point in a serious stretch.
She's about to do some time, yes.
6 DUI. She's going to prison, bro.
Well, why is the 6th one any different than the 5th one?
Well, no, it's not just that. She violated her parole, too. I mean, it's like there's multiple...
Mike, she's white. We don't worry about shit like that.
And she's famous.
Yeah.
She's got Tito Biggies.
Yeah, but she goes away for 10 years. It's going to be a wrap when she gets back. She can't... She can't... Her business model is to do things on film, dude.
Yeah,
seriously, I ain't trying to be funny.
Yeah, right now she's like territory wrestling in like 1990. It's like this is the end of it, and she's not gonna be able to do it. It's over.
Okay, all right. Let's get into Saturday night. How does that sound?
I love it, Pumpkin.
All right. Oh Jesus. So we are covering NWA Saturday Night from November the 21st, 1987, and again, this is essentially the go home show before Starrcade 87. So we're only a few days away as of this taping. And Tony Schiavone opens up the show, and he really doesn't say much. He talks for a minute or two, and then he brings Big Dusty in. So, Doc, I'll throw it to you. I was going to play Dusty here because I think he's amped, and he says something that I think all of us are feeling at this point. If you agree with me, say yes, you agree, and I will hit play on the audio.
Is this before they throw out the UNO Lakefront Arena?
They didn't mention that, huh?
Go to 238.
No, this is before then.
Okay. I didn't even fucking catch that. I know they.
Yeah, I didn't catch it either. This is before.
So after Dusty at 238, they talk about the UNO. I thought you guys could tell us what went down there that night.
All right, well, let me hit play on Dusty here, and because he's amped up and he just tells us it's time.
Here today, Dr. Dusty Boy, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and the man himself, Stardust, just back from New York City, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Well, I'll tell you what, the news throughout the country now, Starrcade 1987, just a few days away. Everybody gets a shot. Everybody gets a shot at the big time, Lex Luger. Let's talk about Lex Luger, the total package, the man destined to be a legend, the man that wants to beat Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, the United States Heavyweight Champion, and in Starrcade 1987 in Shoutouts Heat, you get your chance at Destiny, my man, because Dusty Rhodes lays it on the line. Starrcade 1987 Shoutouts Heat, glory bound. And the night before in New York City, we're going to tear it up. I mean, completely tear it up. And then the bunkhouse stampede. Don't think for 1 minute, Lex Luger, that Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, ain't going to be at the stampede. And I'm going to be at the stampede with the United States Heavyweight title around my waist. Lex Luger, total package, great athlete. But can you be the legend? Can you be the legend? Are you bad enough to be the legend? I don't think so. Let's get on with it. Stop talking about it. Start doing it.
All right, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty, what he said at the end was everything. Let's stop talking about it. Let's do it. I kind of been feeling like that for a few weeks now. Harper, what'd you have?
Can he beat the legend?
I can.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to see. I guess we're going to see when we do part 1 of Starrcade next week. Actually,
we're doing part 1 next week?
Yeah, Starrcade's next week.
Oh boy. Sure, we're not gonna do the whole thing. There's only 7 matches.
Remember,
I'm gonna be dialing in from the moon.
I know, but it's 2 hours. It's 2.5 hours. But I've also got the part 2 with Les Thatcher next week too. So
okay,
it doesn't matter.
Why don't you just play that and we'll skip it next week?
No. Yeah, we'll do the first half of it next week.
So if there's 7 matches, we're gonna watch the first 3.5 matches.
I already wrote it down, but it's in another room. The best way to break it down. But yeah.
How many rooms could you possibly have?
Yeah, just go in there right now. I dare you.
Can we get back to the show?
And then you can get the beat down from your wife and kids. So you're done already?
Jesus Christ. Boy, that's the first thing that's the first thing they fucking ask you when you walk into the room and you're not done. Y'all finished?
Yeah.
No. Doc, thoughts on Dusty right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Doc, you got a beer or something you can pop open for us? Feels like you're a little lazy over there.
No, I'm on some medication, so I can't be drinking right now.
All right.
You don't need alcohol to have a good time.
Harper, you should have heard what I told him in the pre-show. I said, I want you to pull up to my house one day. I'll be sitting in my garage, sipping on some Hennessy and smoking a Black and Mild. I said, what would you do if you saw me sitting outside like that? He was speechless. He didn't have an answer. Anyway, at least I think he didn't have an answer. That's classy, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. The New Breed defeat David Isley and Terry Jones in the first match on the card. Doc, thoughts on the New Breed?
Play 238.
238. Let me go back to it. 238. All right, this is 230, so hold on.
That'll work.
Arcade. Live matches down there. And that should be some great things going on at the UNO Lakefront Arena Thanksgiving night. Head toss.
He said,
good drop.
He said Thanksgiving night, bro.
They were running another car down there with like New Breed and shit.
Do you really think my mama was taking me to wrestling on Thanksgiving night?
Yeah, that wasn't happening.
Boy, you better go eat some fucking food and get out my face is what I was told that night.
Were y'all carving up the Thanksgiving squirrel?
We were carving up the spam. The
spam. And that big brick of government cheese.
Yeah, boy, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take it. None of us have anything from that match, but there is a promo. There's a I gotta play their promo because these dudes, Jesus Christ. Here's the New Breed after their match and after their win.
Alluding to many times, the sheep herders during your match.
Right there, perfect example of what's gonna happen. Starcade night to the sheep herders, the 2 from New Zealand, the 2 bloody mates who are gonna look awful bloody on Starcade come Thanksgiving Eve. Tell him my man Sean more about Starcade.
If we didn't know any better, you boys say that the sheep herders are nothing more than a couple of little kiwi birds. And we'll pluck them like we plucked pheasants, mate. Starcade 87, New Orleans, in a cage. The sheep herders have signed for the last match.
The very last time the sheep herders will ever get in the ring is with the New Breed on Turkey night.
We're fighting to the last man.
The last man. We're on the march, and the New Breed is going to take it 2002 style. Nobody will have to worry about him ever again. And you 2 sheep herders and everybody coast to coast, watch, because you're going to see the New Breed fly like we've never ever flown before.
All right, I had to play it because I thought Sean Royal was hilarious imitating the sheep herders. What did you have, Doc?
Oh, that wasn't Harper doing Becky Lynch?
Becky Lynch is not from New Zealand. I'm sorry, Doc.
She's from Ireland.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. That shit all sounds the same.
Harper, any thoughts on the New Breed right there?
That guy does good impersonations of people, huh? Imagine being in a fucking locker room with him, having to deal with that shit, like in the car, driving to a show.
Harper, I got the same exact note because there are dudes like that in the wrestling business now, and they're like they're hilarious, but eventually like it'll get old, but it's still kind of funny. But he's awesome, man. Like he's imitated Dusty, he's imitated the sheep herders. He did that Marvin Martian bullshit that one time.
Jesus Christ.
That guy's hilarious. Sean Royal is great at imitating people.
Here's what I don't understand.
What?
I haven't seen them fight once, and now they're going to settle it in a cage.
Here's what I don't know, and I don't have the UWF book, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they probably had done some shows like on quote unquote UWF branded shows, even though UWF had been bought right now. I'm saying UWF. They would have done shows where they wrestled the sheep herders, like out in the towns, and I'm betting that's what that's about.
Okay.
I mean, it hadn't been showcased here because this is Saturday night, and that's just not going to be on here. But I'm betting they were doing some things, and that's why. And remember, the sheep herders are the UWF champions too right now.
Oh yeah, that's a prestigious belt.
It is, nice. Motherfucker. Are
they the last champions for that title?
Well, yeah, because I believe they. I don't fucking remember. Now that you say that, but those titles are. I mean, everything's about to dissolve. That's UWF related. I mean, we're not far off from that. I mean, the TV title dissolves next week on Starrcade. So yeah, we're getting to that point.
Does the Southwest title dissolve at Starrcade too?
The what?
Western Heritage?
Yeah,
no,
whatever.
That goes into 88, pal.
Oh.
Shit.
God, he's been having that belt for a while, huh? I forgot who he beat for it.
And nobody gives a shit.
That's nice.
Fucking that belt. Come on, bro.
Yeah, it's the Chipotle belt.
I mean, give me a break. All right. So where were we at?
Is that like is that an actual NWA title?
Sure.
The Western title?
Why not?
That's wow.
Doc's like, I don't give two shits.
Man, I did some looking ahead in 1988. This shit's on a downward trajectory.
Just so you know, you're right, Harper. I looked it up real quick because I wasn't 100%, but yeah, sheep herders are the last ones to have those UWF titles. So there you go. All right, we'll keep going. JJ and Lex were out there. I don't have anything from it. Doc, did you?
The only thing I have from it is that Luger's dressed like a fucking 45-year-old corporate finance dude who's in the middle of a midlife crisis and is about to go get in his red sports car and pick up college girls.
Yeah.
Is it because of the jacket? I mean, the polo shirt ain't doing it. It's just the jacket.
I guess.
That beige jacket is, yeah.
I think he sounded good.
He's all right. You don't have to play it, but he was pretty good there.
Yeah.
No, he was fine. I just said I didn't have anything from it. I mean,
me either, except that he looks silly.
All right, so then it's Mike Rotunda, the Florida heavyweight champion. He defeats Tommy Angel, our friend from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Doc, any thoughts on that?
And Rotunda was 2 years too late. I bet that style would have really, really worked in like 77 instead of 87.
Well, you act like he ain't been around for a while, though.
True, but man, that Matt style where it was slower and he could really shine.
Just don't think they were doing nothing with him during this time period either. I mean.
Okay.
And then, him and Barry as what was their tag team in WWF?
US Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were damn good.
The fucking US Cartoon Express. Remember that?
I do not remember that.
No. I bet fucking Travis Heckle does.
Just randomly calls on people. No. Say your other favorite person that you call on every fucking week.
Steven Jaworski.
There you go. Call out Steven. He loves you.
You saw your boy fucking Johnny Manziel got banned from the Canadian Football League.
What?
Fucking moron.
What did he do, Harper?
They didn't say. They just say like he's been kicked off the team and legit banned from the league. So Galley knows what the fuck he did.
Maybe he got caught at a massage parlor with sex trafficking the day of a big game.
That's nice. Got imagine a massage parlor in fucking Canada.
Wait, that's not it. It couldn't be that. Maybe it's that he forgot to kneel for "O Canada."
Oh.
Okay, and here we go with the politics now.
Yeah,
now we're
whatever.
going to the border. We go next to, well, first they play that Dusty video package they constantly play as to say he's winning the title next week. Or
Dude, they play that shit nonstop, huh?
Him and Rick. Every
I love it
week.
when they show fucking Dusty with the white jacket and he's going back and forth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
I thought he was about to say more.
I did too. I was like,
I was waiting for the punchline. All right. We go to the Starcade Control Center. I figure will be the last time we're in here since it's before Starcade. And we've got a special guest. It's Magnum. He talks about how big Starcade is. And then they throw us to Starcade 85. They show a clip with Magnum versus Tully in the I Quit match where Tully never said I quit. He just said no. And then Tony has Magnum predict the Starcade matches. Harper, do you have anything from this?
With the when they show him in the fucking studio?
Yeah, they're in the control center.
No.
Okay. Doc, what about you? Are you on mute, Doc?
Yeah.
I like that Magnum didn't just sit there with all his buddies and predict what they were going to do, that they were going to win, and that he put over Arn and Tully and said he actually predicted them to win. I thought that was good.
Yeah, he actually, I wrote it down. He picked Garvin, Sting, and Hayes because they're in that 6-man, so he's got them winning. He says Dr. Death will win. He predicted Midnight Express would win. He predicted Nikita Koloff would win. He predicted Tully and Arn would win. Dusty would win, and Ronnie Garvin would win. But, so he picked a bunch of his friends, but he also picked the Midnight Express. So there you go.
And Arn and Tully.
That's true. That's true, too. I was thinking Dusty and Ronnie when I was thinking friends. But, yeah, he picked Tully and Arn. Okay, after that, they go to Sting, who defeats Cougar J. And then
Sting wrestled like a damn heel. He threw the guy out of the ring.
Yeah.
There's your hero. Big American hero.
There he is, Mike. I hope you're happy.
Here we go.
Times are changing.
Downhill and the brakes are out, pal.
Times are changing. That old white meat baby face.
We were watching wrestling the other night, and he came out for Rick's birthday. I turned to my kid and wife and said, "That's the guy who ruined wrestling right there."
Sting?
You heard me.
Get the fuck out of here.
Sting? No, he didn't ruin wrestling.
You sound like, you know what he's doing, Harper? He's saying shit for shock value right now.
No, he's like Howard Stern.
Yeah, it's something like that. Just trying to shock us into, that's all that's about. Well, after Sting defeats Cougar J, he then cuts a promo. He mentions Eddie Gilbert screwed him in the past and yada, yada, yada. And then he talks about a new move Dr. Death brought back, which will come to be known as a Scorpion Deathlock. He doesn't say it here, but...
So I guess he did it before Brett. So I guess you could say Brett got it from him to a certain
extent.
extent.
Brett screwed Brett.
Yeah, Brett screwed Brett.
It's wrestling. Everyone steals everything from everyone. But no one wants to admit it. Unless you're Triple H and you just break out a sledgehammer because you're going to kill a motherfucker.
Anyway. What's wrong with Triple H?
I just went random right there. Barry Windham then comes out after Sting, and Barry continues to promote his Starcade match, and then he addresses Larry Zbyszko. And for some reason, I thought about you, Doc, when Barry was out there, because I felt like you were either getting frustrated or just were like, God, they're just ruining this guy right here.
I just feel bad for him. I'm not frustrated. I just feel sorry for the guy.
Feel bad for him?
Yeah.
You feel bad for Barry?
Yeah.
He becomes a horseman.
Wait, what? How do you know that?
Would you have ever guessed that at this point, Harper?
No.
Fuck no.
Okay, so that's a question then, Doc. How far away, how shocked, like, I mean, it's hard to say you're shocked now because you know what ends up happening, but at this point, and what they've done with him now for 6 months, ever since he had a nice little thing with Flair, would you have ever imagined they would get him back to the top?
No.
Pretty
well,
sad.
maybe. I don't know. It's wrestling. I mean, shit.
Why are y'all talking about this like it's real?
Yeah, for real.
What?
We still get that comment on YouTube sometimes. Every now and then somebody will post, "Why do y'all talk about it like it's real?" It is real, damn it. Kevin Sullivan comes out and he whoops Alan Martin's ass. Not as bad as Ronnie Garvin, but still beats him up pretty good. Doc, thoughts from that or anything before I keep going?
Who was that?
He whooped his ass.
Sullivan and Alan Martin. He actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did have something here. Hold on a second. I got a timestamp on this shit.
Harper, while he's getting that down, what do you have from it?
Yeah, he fucking beat the shit out of him.
29-34.
29-34. Let's go to 29-34 and see what's happening. All right, I'm at 29-33 now, and I'm going to hit play and see what happens.
That style right there was made for a Buckhouse Stampede. Look at that. The idea is to hurt somebody, and it's obvious that Kevin Sullivan's doing just that.
Doc, you want to explain for the people that aren't watching on tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT what Sullivan did and why you wanted to play it?
Instead of the back scratch, he scratched his tummy, but not in like the way you would scratch a kitty cat's tummy. He like clawed his stomach, man. Fuck that. That shit looked painful.
At least he didn't rake him across the nipples.
At least he left his golden spike at home, but shit.
Harper, can you imagine if he'd have raked him off the nipples, Harper?
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit. Is he taking a piss?
I'm here. Hey.
Well,
yeah, fuck that.
But he beat his ass.
Him, just grab him by the chest and just start scratching shit.
Dr. Death then comes out and defeats Thunderfoot number 2. No shocker. Dr. Death then cuts a promo. It was okay. Nothing like great or bad. Doc, any thoughts? Harper, any thoughts before we keep going?
Hey, that's a great power slam, bro.
It is.
That's the best one out there.
It's real nice.
Mm-hmm.
He does hit that shit really, really good. I'm actually going to try to go back and play it because just the way I don't know, man. He just does so well when he picks him up, and it just looks powerful.
When he's running around with him for a couple of steps, man, I can't imagine that's the easiest thing in the world.
You going to get mad at me what I'm about to say right here.
I don't give a shit what you say. Everything you say makes me angry.
No, I'm not going to say it because I'm rewatching it, and he doesn't look like what I thought he looked like.
Sting?
No. It's a good power slam, though.
T-Rex?
Oh, dear God, no. T-Rex?
Oh.
Why would you say T-Rex?
I don't know. Gotta say something.
Hey, I think we need to listen to Ricky Santana, though, here.
Why?
Because he's talking about Flair and Garvin, and I'm just like, dude, come on, man. Stay in your lane, bruh.
Yeah, it's the same shit.
Am I the only one watching this going, God, man, is this a rib that they were pulling on this guy? Hey, go out there and talk about Ric Flair, the world heavyweight champion.
I think it's possible that there could have been some racial humor about it too, not just go out there.
Okay. Harper, what do you have from it? Anything?
Nothing. Fuck. This guy's a waste of fucking TV time. Just think of something else they could be doing with that fucking TV time. Putting somebody else over. Fuck. Then when he starts talking, God.
Wait, what?
Dude, do you know how many people back then would have just been like, fuck you, you fucking foreigner?
I told you last year.
God, Harper, Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you, in 1987, people don't want to hear that shit.
I told you last year that Manny Fernandez was a heel doing that shit.
Right.
Yeah, Manny did. Manny did.
El Corazon de San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad, Doc.
¿Cómo está?
Right. Bien, gracias, amigo. All right, let's keep moving.
Yo. Let me speak on this. Orderly. La raza. You hear that? The fucking Conan promos. Are you strawberries?
I remember the Conan promos. Shit. God. Rick Steiner. What are we laughing at here? What's so funny?
I'm just imagining Harper doing Conan. I don't know. It's funny.
Can you imagine grabbing him?
Rick Steiner.
Imagine Harper grabbing his junk doing that. Orale! Aviva la raza! While he's grabbing his junk like
he probably goes out and does that to his mom before he goes to bed after the show.
Mama! Orale!
Christopher, cut that shit out.
Okay, Rick Steiner defeats Ricky Nelson. Rick Steiner at the beginning hits Nelson with a vicious German suplex.
Dude.
Jesus Christ.
Right off the bat, too, man. Talk about, we're just going to go straight to I'm going to toss you.
God, I mean, he just like grabbed that guy and was like, fuck you, bruh. That's your ass. I'm about to whoop you. I mean, he plants him. Anyway,
he flung him.
Yeah, he flung him. Harper, anything from that?
He looks good, man.
He looks like one of those guys that likes to fight for fun.
Yeah.
Let's go out and get in a fight. It'll be fun.
This is, we're getting close to, I feel like we're getting close to the last we're going to see of him, too, with get up he's got on as well.
Why?
I mean, well, varsity. I mean, I'm talking about Varsity Club at some point. That's what
We're getting close to that shit.
Yeah, I keep saying that, but it feels like it for sure. But Steiner wins with a power slam. Belly to belly for the win on Nelson. He really looked good, man. I got to give him credit there. Kevin Sullivan comes out and he cut and pasted last week's and the weeks before that and the week before that. This week he tells Ricky Santana to shut his fucking mouth, and then he keeps talking about Ric Flair. Doc, any thoughts?
Not one.
All right, Harper, you?
No.
The Midnight Express defeat Rex King, and Cornette talks throughout the match as they talk about the Nassau Coliseum and the scaffold match. Harper, any thoughts there?
No.
I thought the Midnights looked really good in that match.
Yeah, but then when they do the promos, man, it's like they're waiting for a bus.
No. There's something in the promo that popped the shit out of me.
What's that?
Mike, go to 48:19 and watch Bobby Eaton.
All right, so 48:19. 48:19, are you sure?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no. You're right. Hold on. That fucking music is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm getting to it.
It's only a few days till Thanksgiving, and the whole world is fixing to set their eyes on Chicago, Illinois.
He tossed Shivani.
I'm going to say this, rock and roll, from the very start of this thing, I vowed that the Midnight Express would do everything humanly possible to not...
All right,
when you know the backstory that he's like the nicest guy in wrestling, he just pawed Tony Schiavone and just manhandled him out of the way. That was great.
Harper, he put his left meat hook on Schiavone and just like pushed him, just like tossed him to get in front of him.
Poor old Tony.
Does Stan look interested? He's actually smiling a little bit during this promo.
Stan, if you had a thought balloon come up over that guy's head at that time, it would be like,
ass.
Yes. Ladies, I don't give a shit what this guy behind me's saying. I want you to think about that, what you saw in the ring. You want a spam slam?
Yeah, where the fuck was Spam Slam at?
Well, remember last week too. He was helping keep the homeless, not the homeless, the home open for the single moms.
Yeah, well,
He was impregnating bras. Remember that last week? Doc was here for it.
But I remember seeing it. Damn, I was like, how much of that's real? Why is Gordy talking about this shit like it's real?
How many little Stanfields are out there?
Jesus Christ.
That's nice.
We got a bunch of kids running around the Southeast that look like a mini version of Lex Luger.
There's your reason. All right. So, all right. After that, Ric Flair's out here twice, kind of. I got to play this because he's promoting that Danger Zone DVD or VHS. And then they show a picture of Missy. So let's give that a listen. Here it is.
The Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
What we got right here is the Danger Zone, the hottest tape on the market today. The best meets the best, the NWA. Woo! Get this, buy this, get this free. Missy Hines, live beyond compare.
You are coming face to face with danger.
I rip your neck off and dance down your tassel.
Once you've crossed the danger zone, there's no going back.
Then you better be ready to have your head torn from your body.
The danger zone. Professional wrestling's most powerful and devastating.
Okay, I can't. Doc, your thoughts on this?
If you paid $24.95 for that tape, you're a special kind of sap.
Yeah, and then that fucking calendar. It's like they got Missy Hyatt, and they're like, oh, okay, it's a Missy Hyatt a calendar, and then they show like fucking Jimmy Garvin in a thong. I'm like, who the fuck would want this?
He just starts screaming. His hairy ass sack is hanging out the bottom of his fucking gym shorts. It's like, wait, the fuck?
Could you imagine? I was like 10.
Dude, if I'd have had that, if I'd have had that up at 12 years old, my dad comes to my room.
You
dude,
fucking fruit.
Y'all are so dirty.
That's exactly what would have happened.
Your dad would have come in and been like, why is it still February? Because I'm afraid to turn it off.
So, just so you know, if you're watching on Patreon, I've got the month that Jimmy Garvin is on.
God.
He's rubbed down with baby oil.
Yes!
He's got a fucking red Speedo on.
After being like 10, I was like 10 years. I was 10 when this was going on. Imagine if I was like, Mama, I gotta get this wrestling tape, and this comes in the mail, and there's like fucking Jimmy Garvin laying on a goddamn bearskin rug, and show what the fuck.
It's already bad enough in their mind that you're still watching this bullshit. Now you're starting to take on some homosexual tendencies.
Just like in the fucking Knoxville 5 fucking video.
So am I the only one that caught them say only one swimsuit calendar per order?
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. So basically they're saying you can only get one of these. We know y'all want, the only selling point of the calendar for most people, I think, would be Missy.
Yeah, but the thing is, how many months is it Missy? That's what I would want to fucking ask before I get a calendar full of fucking free birds and Flair in a thong and fuck that. That's what I would like to know. At least throw fucking Baby Doll in there or fucking Big Mama or something.
Big Mama. Oh, you hear his dad? It was Jimmy Garvin. He goes back out there. It's like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with that kid? Next month comes along as Big Mama. He's like, now we're talking.
The thing about the Jimmy Garvin when that's so bad is the look on his face and the pose and the baby oil just slathered all over him.
That guy wrestle hundreds of matches, and I've never seen him wear less clothing than in that picture.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the dangers?
If you buy that, you're a special kind of sap.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And then they got people giving testimonials.
Fuck him.
Oh yeah.
So
with that woman's like, yeah, I get Ric Flair. I get Ric Flair anytime I want. Yeah, the fuck out of here.
Buddy from The Office, man. Come on.
Yeah, that was a receptionist.
Yeah.
Let me see. At the end of it, let me see if they say something. Oh, here it is.
If you order the Danger Zone now.
And that's all there is.
The perfect gift for everyone. The Danger Zone video cassette and free 1988 wrestler swimsuit calendar. To order, get your credit card.
They got the address. That shit took 8 weeks to get there too. Good Lord, you had to wait for
1988 was half over by the time you got the damn calendar.
All right.
And your punk ass went out to the mailbox every day for 4 months looking for that shit.
God, remember shit like that? I remember when I was a kid, they used to have this deal. It was called the flagship points. It was on the back of G.I. Joe stuff. It was like the Marlboro Miles. You could mail them in for like the fucking, G.I. Joe toys. And I used to check their mailbox every fucking day, waiting for like the Cobra Hiss tank and all that bullshit. And it took like 2 goddamn months for that shit to show up.
Every day on the way home from school. Today's gonna be the day. Today's gonna be the day.
Uh-huh.
Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to get that Nintendo Power magazine.
Oh my God, that was like a Bible.
Yeah, it had all the maps to Zelda and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's white people shit, Mike.
Yeah.
I never got the Nintendo magazine, dude. I'm sorry.
No.
But I know which one I know what you're talking about. I remember it.
You had some white friends when you were younger?
No, but I just remember the Nintendo magazine. I remember it was actually a cool thing, man, because like you said, it would have like all the maps and shit and all kinds of secret shit. We used to sit there
and just flip through those things for hours and hours.
Look at the same
shit.
And over.
Mm-hmm. Thinking, I'm going to get this game. I want this one. I want this for Christmas. No, you ain't. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up. You ain't getting none of it. You'd be lucky if you get one, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now that we had fun with the Danger Zone, let's go to Ric Flair, who's now out here to spit some game before Starrcade 87.
Okay, the fans standing up for the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
What I'm talking about. You got 4 monkeys over here dressed like Dusty Rhodes, and you got 4 studs over here dressed like Ric Flair. Now those are intelligent wrestling fans. The guys that come time. The bottom line is, Tony Schiavone, and put that camera back on me. We've had enough of this crowd control. I heard Magnum TA, whose only claim to fame in his entire life is the 60 minutes I carried him in Atlanta, Georgia, because I didn't want to rob the public of the $20 they paid to see it. I carried Magnum 60 minutes. Could have beat him just like that. So Magnum, you keep your mouth shut, pal. Ricky Santana walks out here in a $5 coat, a $2 tie, and he says, Ric Flair, style and profile, man. Let me tell you something, pal. This reputation is long-lived. It's earned. This is the Danger Zone. You ask around, pal. My whole life has been fast women, fast cars, Dom Perignon, and the winner's circle. Starrcade, Chicago, the biggest wrestling extravaganza of all time. Jim Crockett made it possible, spent millions of dollars to bring the best wrestlers in the world together one night. Garvin, you've got my special baby right now. My gold belt, not the people's, mine. I bled, I sweat, and I paid the price to be the world champion. And in Chicago, pal, it's sold out. Sold out. Standing room only. Closed circuit all the way around the country. That's right. Pay-per-view cable systems all over the country. Paying to see the best versus the best. In Chicago, Garvin, you're going to be mine all night long. But let's not forget
New York on the 25th. Long limousines, bright lights, big city. The National Wrestling Alliance, taken from the best there is, takes over in New York City. Woo!
The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Here we go to the ring.
Who wants to go first?
I know he can't say it, but I think Rick should be like, I tell you what, I don't give a shit what y'all do in Jim Crockett Promotions. I ain't going to Nassau the night before because I'm going to Chicago early to get ready to win my belt back.
You want to give us a little bit more why you think he...
Why would he go take over Nassau all night long when he's trying to get his baby back? Not the people's, his.
Yeah, that was the best line.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Nassau thing was a big deal because if you notice, they're all talking about it. I mean, we haven't played all of the promos, but they're all talking about it. It's not like a little thing. They're all dropping it, you know, talking about this damn show.
Oh yeah, how'd that work out for him?
Cornette has told stories about it.
People up north don't appreciate good wrestling.
No,
they just don't.
Okay, Harper, any thoughts on Rick right there?
I mean, like we said. 11 Weaknesses, I'm going to take back my belt, not the people's belt. That's mine.
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah.
He called the guys dressed like Dusty a bunch of monkeys.
That's nice. Wow.
Your ears perked up when you heard that because you thought you were going to be able to play the race card, huh?
Mm-hmm. You're like, here comes the Here comes like transform into victim now.
No, but I do want to say this. It's weird. I know this makes Doc's blood boil, but it's very strange in a way. This show, the NWA show, is listened to by a lot more people than the Smoky Mountain show. And New Jack and the Gangsters have just come into the territory in Smoky Mountain. And New Jack called the NAACP a bunch of trained monkeys on a show we just did. And let me tell you, if you're not listening to the Smoky Mountain show,
you're an idiot.
Nah, I'm not going to say that.
No, say it. You're a fucking moron.
Go.
We get up. We get up at the ass crack of dawn on Friday mornings.
I don't even go to bed.
Right, Harper doesn't even worry with bed so that he could be at his best for these people.
Fuck.
And they're not going to listen? What kind of horse shit is that?
Yeah. Well, how hard is it to go on Podbeam or wherever you get your favorite podcast and fucking click on it?
Seriously speaking, if you like shit talking promos, at least start the Smoky Mountain Show on episode 130, because New Jack and the Gangsters are in that bitch, and it is fucking lit up in Smoky Mountain right now. Am I lying, Doc?
No, absolutely not. We have renamed the government cheese the Fifth of Henny, I think, but why are you talking about that right now again?
Well, when Dusty said, he called the guys dressed like, when Rick said, the guys dressed like Dusty were a bunch of monkeys, I was like, holy shit. And it just made me think of when New Jack, this past Friday, when New Jack said, the NAACP, bunch of homegrown Negroes. I was like, homegrown monkeys. I was like, oh my God. So that's why I thought about it. New Jack's nuts, dude, in Smoky Mountain. It's fuck. Anyway.
He's a force of nature.
Did y'all also notice Rick got mad at the cameraman? He said, look, pal, that's enough of showing these idiots in the crowd. He played booker.
Time for some, right there. You need some crowd control.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what has control. It's the Road Warriors as they beat the hell out of Dale LaPerouse and Curtis Thompson. And then we go to a Road Warriors promo where Hawk decides to quote the Bible.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Become World Tag Team Champion, your own hometown.
Tony Schiavone, as I told you, the people of Chicago and the world, there's one thing that the Warriors have never been, and that's the NWA World Tag Team Champions. And for you, Chicago, our hometown, there's no better place but for you, Chicago, and the street people in this world. Those belts just might change hands. Tell them, Hawk. Tony Schiavone, though we walk through the valley of death, we fear no evil, because we are the evil. We are the evil that Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson have to get into the four corners of doom in our hometown in Chicago, in front of our home fans, in our backyard. And it seems to me that while we were away in Japan beating up Japanese in their backyard, that Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson left their micro mini-man image and grew up to be grown-up men. Well, promoters sometimes pay big money for people to do stupid things. And in your case, you're getting paid big money to do the stupidest thing that anybody can do in professional wrestling. And that's to get in the ring with a couple of sick-headed, twisted, demented road warriors. We're the best. You don't like it? We don't care.
He talked me into the building. Doc, what do you have from it?
Man, I thought he was good. Promoters pay people big money to do stupid shit, man. You pay a wrestler enough, they'll pretty much do whatever you want them to do, man.
He's out here quoting a Bible.
I was waiting for him to turn that evil shit into like the Iron Maiden line, the evil that men do.
The evil that men, yeah.
Lives on and on. I got a little throat problem.
Bruce
I can't
Dickinson.
get up high. Yeah, I can't get up high like that right now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I have no clue what you mean, but okay.
Oh, fuck.
Of course not.
All right, well...
My 6-year-old can sing along with the Trooper, but you never even heard of Iron Maiden. Jesus Christ.
Steven Jaworski has.
Yeah, that's right. He saw him play at the Cleveland. He saw him play at the Cleveland Lakefront Arena or some shit.
He lives in Pittsburgh, you dumbass.
The Allegheny Flaming River Nonsense Market Arena.
What's funny is when Harper brings him up half the time, he'll say, "You think I care what Steven Jaworski in Pittsburgh?" He's like, he has to call out his city. He didn't do that today. Damn, Steven Jaworski keeps getting mentioned. Holy fuck! You want to mention anybody else, Harper? You want to give some shout outs to all your friends over the Facebook group right now?
Armando, hey.
All right. Who else? Anybody else?
Should you say Ola?
I don't know,
Ola.
but if you and Travis Heckle and King Chivas and all you other motherfuckers out on the group, y'all keep insulting Sasha Banks, I'm going to block everybody.
Bro, that fucking action figure looks like, what the fuck?
If he does that, I'll start another Facebook group for everybody.
Yeah, right. Mister, I'm not on social media, but contact him anytime. We keep the show moving. We get Larry Zbyszko, who defeats Larry Stevens. He is out there with Baby Doll.
I got a question about Zbyszko.
Sure, go ahead.
I like Zbyszko just fine. I got nothing against him in the ring. He's different on the mic, but not bad at all. But doesn't he just strike you as a weird dude?
You mean the way he talks?
About everything.
I don't know.
He'd be eating weird shit in the back, or he'd be into some weird shit with rats, or he's just an odd dude.
Give me some weird shit with rats. Like, what do you mean?
I don't know.
Like a David Carradine type shit?
Like choking?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be like, I like feet, but I'd like for you to not wash them first or something, you know?
God, I don't know where you're going.
Larry Zbyszko.
I don't know. I like Zbyszko.
I didn't say I didn't like him. I actually do like him. He just seems like an odd dude. I guess he was Vern's son-in-law, though, so maybe that's not the right.
I don't know. I think you're an odd dude, so I don't know.
I'm a pillar of society, fuck nuts.
Okay. Larry Zbyszko and Baby Doll cut a promo. I thought they were okay. Nothing special. Harper, any thoughts?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. And
he's just getting started, and he's coming in right at Starrcade, so it's kind of hard to heat him up real quick.
It's this whole weird thing with Barry too, because Barry is wrestling Dr. Death for the UWF title, but at the same time, Barry's got now Zbyszko on his mind. So like they brought Zbyszko in before Starrcade, so now Zbyszko's promoing on Barry and Barry's promoing on Zbyszko. It's just I don't know, dude. It's weird. The way they've treated Barry is not helping Larry Zbyszko, if you ask me right now.
Fair enough.
The Jive Tones defeat.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Why? What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Doc, I need some commentary from you on this. What are we doing? The Jive Tones versus El Negro and Booker T. Washington.
Jesus Christ, dude. This was fucking... Is it Black History Month? What are we trying to do here?
This is November.
This shit ain't February, man. B.T. Washington, Mike's favorite wrestler, until he saw that El Negro was in the ring.
You think if he takes off his mask and he's white, that'll be awesome, huh?
Dude, what would they... Somebody wrote this down on the run sheet.
I think it's just it's got to be a rib. They're like, bro, let's do this.
You ever listen to Shaska cut a promo and think he got held back because he was black?
No, I don't think he got held back though.
I think he could have done more.
No, I think Shaska was fine. I think what they did with him, I really like what they did with him in '86 with the whole thing.
They could have done more with that too.
Yeah,
I think they did a lot with him. Yeah.
Now, my other question is, what if the Jive Tones just said "fuck it" one Saturday night and cut the same promo that New Jack cut in 1994 in Smoky Mountain, but did it on TBS in 1987?
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna have to deal with, if Shaska's like, y'all gonna have to deal with me.
I'm here and I ain't going nowhere. You can tell the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP to kiss my black ass. Can you imagine him saying that shit on TBS like he did on Smoky Mountain TV? And if you don't listen to the Smoky Mountain show, I'm actually quoting what he said, except I just replaced Atlanta NAACP or Knoxville NAACP with Atlanta NAACP, because that's exactly what he said in Smoky Mountain.
My question is how do they have enough black people in Tennessee to form an NAACP chapter?
Oh, shut up, you asshole.
They might have fucking white people in it. They had one on the North Shore. The president was a fucking white woman.
What?
Yeah.
Well, white is a color.
I don't know what Harper's talking about right
here.
No,
like the NAACP chapter in like Mandeville or something. It was a white woman.
Wow, Mandeville.
Yeah. Or like it was Covington or something.
There's a lot of honkies in Mandeville too.
Yeah.
Well, that Mandeville, Covington. Well, not Covington, not as much, but yeah, okay.
Right? Yeah, dude, it's the same.
Yeah. Well, never mind. I was gonna get into something, but we keep moving. The Jive Tones are out here cutting a promo. This will be the last
Another
one.
win, gentlemen.
Everybody's talking about Starrcade. Everybody's talking about Starrcade. But let me tell you, shut down. The Jive Tones, we are gonna be there. Ain't taking no names, dishing out punishment. And you, Ron Simmons, I ain't forgot about your football, boy. And I want you to know one thing. If you get your partner, maybe it be Dusty Rose, Mr. All-American Dream, or Dr. Death. You and him played against each other in the Orange Bowl. Oranges, cotton, oranges. It don't matter. It won't be no bowl when we, the Giant Tones, are going to be on your face, putting it down on you. Lex Luger, my money is on you. Ronnie Garvin, the hands of stone are turning to the hands of cotton. Right there with Ric Flair. Jive Tones, baby. We the one.
Jive Tones is here, and we here to stay. Get I'm gonna let you know. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you looking at the best combination black tag team ever to walk the face of the earth. And we here, right where the best is, the Super Station. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. We ain't through coming at them. We don't give a quarter, and we don't take nothing, but we get everything we want.
So Shaska said they're the best black tag team today. The irony is Boogie called him the best black athlete today, and he turned on Boogie and beat his ass and cut his beard.
Why you got to bring up bullshit?
I'm just saying it happened.
I think they're the only black tag team.
No, they just beat P.T. Washington and
Right.
El Negro.
Oh yeah, that's true, huh?
So they are the best.
Yes, they are. He's not lying there.
Whatever.
Any other thoughts, Harper?
No.
Eddie Gilbert defeats George Fox in the next match, and then we go to Nikita Koloff. I'm not going to play it, but I will say this, and I want Doc's thoughts and Harper's thoughts, but Nikita has made a full American transformation at this point based on his gear that he has on.
Yeah.
Do I need to explain what that is, Harper?
He has that fucking trucker's hat on. I think he has a T-shirt that's with Schwarzenegger on it, huh? Or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Orange T-shirt, the trucker hat, and it looks like some maybe coach's shorts on when they show him.
Yeah. Those fucking bike shorts.
It's hard. And I don't think it's those as much as it may be just some short blue shorts.
Remember those shorts?
Good Lord, yes. God, and those assholes would tuck their shirts in on that bullshit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Doc, any thoughts?
Not one.
Terry Taylor defeats Bob Emery, and then Terry Taylor comes out and cuts a promo, and Tony was getting all out the box with Terry Taylor, but I didn't have anything else from that. Did you, Doc?
Not really. I mean, I like what Terry Taylor's doing because it's kind of different a little bit, but I know what's about to happen, so.
It is what it is. And that is Starrcade 1987's Go Home show before the big event on Thanksgiving night of 1987. So I guess at this point we got to rate this thing.
What about fucking Eddie Gilbert?
Well, Eddie Gilbert said he cuts a promo at the end?
No.
Okay. I mean, he's out there with the...
Yeah, didn't we Yeah.
He's out there with the belt, but did he cut a promo? I guess not.
No.
I'm watching him. He's just holding the belt right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if he's going to start talking. Yeah, I don't think he does anything, Harper.
Okay.
All right, Doc, you rate this thing first.
Not as good as I would have wanted for a Go Home to the Starrcade show. Not terrible, but not great. And for that reason and many more that I don't want to talk about right now, I'm going to say B+.
Oh, wow.
Harper, what you giving it?
I give it a B-.
I kind of feel like Harper, man.
Yeah, because they didn't really do much. It was just a big old, Starrcade.
Yeah,
I'll say D.
F.
No, I ain't going. No. I'm gonna go B- as well. I have to agree. Who are you giving your Rolex to, Doc?
This is gonna shock you, but he popped the piss out of me. I'm going with Bobby Eaton for pushing Tony out of the way.
All right. I mean, I'm going to do the standard thing I've been doing. I'm just going to give it to Ric Flair.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's...
Well, let me change it.
To what?
I'm going to give it to Hawk.
Okay, yeah, that's true, huh?
Because he was intense, and he talks us into the building, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he did good.
Yeah, because all these promos was all, blah, 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 see you there.
Right. Whereas Hawk was real intense. He's quoting the Bible and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
give it a Hawk, too. Yeah. Rick's got enough of them.
Oh, God, he's got 3 arms worth of them, and he's only got 2 arms if you don't count the baby arm.
His penis.
There you go. Harper, you're right. let me play Eddie Gilbert's promo at the end. Here it is.
Until I make my point, because Starcase is going to be my night, and there's nothing you can do to ruin it.
One thing, Jay, I just remember one thing I forgot to say is that the night before in Long Island, New York, Nassau Coliseum, Nikita, you may just not make it to Starcade because you gotta go through hot stuff Eddie Gilbert himself first. So why don't you just leave Dusty, Ron Garvin, all the rest of them, the Hayes, the Garvins, all of them in the dressing room. You come out and prove to us that you're really the man that you say you are. Very good, Eddie. Very good.
Yeah.
God, he looks like he's got a can of chew in his mouth,
He
man.
does. He's got dip in his mouth.
Okay, it wasn't just me. I was like, he really looked like he was chewing on something.
Yeah.
Do you still dip, Harper?
No, I haven't dipped in years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What made you give it up?
I mean, I just stopped.
The desire to live.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I just stopped.
How many years did you dip?
Not that many.
28.
Yeah.
He gave it up. He gave it up 6 months ago.
He gave it up right before the red light came on tonight.
Yeah, I quit. When'd you quit?
Just now.
Been thinking about it for a while.
Fucking dip, man.
Hey, what kind did you dip back then?
Skull.
Well, first I did like skull, and then I started doing chew, and I prefer chew better than fucking dip. It tastes better. It tastes like fucking raisins. You can sit there and chew on it like a fucking cow.
Oh my God. Oh boy. We got to get to.
Can you imagine if I showed up at a meeting where we work with a
ball of chew in your mouth?
Yes. First of all, I'd be escorted out.
I mean, it's disgusting now that I think about it, because you got to walk around with the spitting in the goddamn cup with the paper towel in it, and it's fucking gross.
Doc, can you imagine if I walked into a meeting with a bottle of Hennessy and a Black and Mild?
That
would be nice.
That would be nice. Make the meetings go better, I can tell you that.
All right.
Why don't you tell us about all the people that you need to talk about that Harper and I don't give a shit about?
No, actually, I just need to mention the Amazon referral link. It's tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. Great way to support this show. Go buy Bobby Blaze's books, Pin Me, Pay Me. Go buy Death of the Territories. Go buy anything and everything you can get off of Amazon. Again, it's tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. And give that link to the wives, girlfriends, hoes, and side pieces in your life, and tell them to use it each and every time they purchase on Amazon. I don't have to pimp anything right now because we actually got to get over to Les Thatcher Part 1. Did you forget, Doc?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So, Harper, why don't you hit the tagline and get us over to that right now?
Book it, bitch.
At this time, I'd like to welcome in a man who has been involved in pro wrestling for a very long time. He was the 1967 NWA Rookie of the Year as presented on CWF in Tampa, Florida. He won many awards with Southeastern Championship Wrestling out of Knoxville. And for the purposes of today's recording with Booking the Territory, he is former Smoky Mountain Wrestling commentator, Mr. Les Thatcher. Les, welcome to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast, and thank you for your time today, sir.
Well, that's great, Mike. It's a pleasure to be on with you. I've listened to your show a few times. I'm going to tell you the truth. The first time I ever ventured onto Booking the Territory, one of your guys made a comment that, well, Les and Bob, there's no heel. And I thought, okay, that's enough. I'm not into sports entertainment announcing. I don't do that. But, you know, the truth is, probably before you guys were born, there was no, I mean, if you had a heel that was a wrestler on to sit in, but, you know, I've worked, I shared the mic with Soley in Atlanta in 73 and 74. I've worked with Kahlo, with Lance Russell. with JR, and it was never heel and babyface. It was a play-by-play guy and a color man. One of the nicest compliments I think I ever got was a few years ago. Someone had sent a question to JR about how he felt working with me as his color man. He said, "I never looked at Les as a color man. I always looked at him as an analyst." And that is exactly what I tried to be. So I never was a character as a wrestler, Mike. So I don't know how to be a character as a commentator either.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, you actually bring up a good point because like I was telling you before we started, watching Mid-South Wrestling as a kid, there was no heel commentator. I mean, you had, you had Bill Watts, and oftentimes, he was with Boyd Pierce, or you had JR and he's with Boyd Pierce. So, I mean, you had different situations where the, commentary wasn't always, how can I say it? You didn't have a heel. I think what me and the guys were talking about was more or less when it was Dutch Mantell, when he first leaves, it's a different dynamic with you and Bob. Sure. I always say it's a good dynamic, but it's definitely different because Dutch, as you know, he was so charismatic and good as a quote unquote heel commentator and giving Bob Cottle a hard time, because that was part of the interplay of it and what made it really, really entertaining. I think you and Bob are really good together. You'll have good chemistry. It's just different. It's a different take on things. But you do bring up a good point, because back in the day you didn't have a heel commentator and a babyface play-by-play guy. It just didn't work that way.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I look at when I first started doing that. Well, first of all, I began, being a commentator in Eastern Canada in 1970. But and then there were no co-hosts, right? You did the whole thing on your own. But right. The first time I ever sat in, I always looked at it like, okay, of course, my wrestling career overlapped my broadcasting career. So for the almost the first 10 years of that, I was both, worked both sides of the street, I guess you could say. But I always looked at it, okay, you listen to a football player, an ex-football player being an analyst, or an ex-basketball player. They don't wet themselves over a little 5-yard flare-out pass, right? They've done that a million times themselves. They've seen that a million times themselves. They get emotional when there's something actually, they take the people with them on that emotional ride. And I quite frankly, and I don't mean to step on anybody's toes, because I realize it's a different era, but, when I hear an ex-wrestler having multiple climaxes over a headlock or something, I'm just thinking, what are you selling? It doesn't resonate with me, and I don't think it fits actually with the personality. And of course today you and I are going to talk more about Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but in 2019, the crazy thing is virtually everyone's a character, so nobody gets over.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's everybody screaming and yelling, and no one gets
exactly.
over. Yeah. That's an excellent point. You make a real good point about some of the commentary you hear today. And like you said, you were mentioning to me before we started recording, it would almost, in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, you didn't have somebody in your ear the entire time calling everything, telling you what to say, telling you what to do. Those guys, they don't have that luxury. I mean, they've got an earpiece in and they're hearing every single thing. Whereas, like you said, you kind of just reacted to everything organically, and you and JR, during your commentaries together, you kind of just went with it and called it as you saw it.
Yeah, it was, and you know what? To me, I think that's, I think JR is the last, I guess, of a dying breed, and I hope that AEW, and I'm assuming that's where he's going to end up, and if he doesn't, they're crazy. That's what separates him from everybody else on the microphones today, is that he can make an average match good, he can make a good match better. But he also tells a story, and he enhances what's going on in the ring. He's not selling you a website or a network or just making, crazy assumptions that so many guys are doing. But I realize, it comes down to this, Mike. It's a job, and you do what you're paid to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, speaking of the job and being on commentary, we have just reached the point where the gangsters have come into Smoky Mountain Wrestling, if I can pivot to them. You mentioned in a response to longtime listener of ours, Armando Martinez on Twitter, that the gangsters are unique, fresh, cutting edge, and ahead of their time. They had so much heat, you were afraid at times they wouldn't get out of the building. If you could, please expand upon that and share your other memories of New Jack and Mustafa in Smoky Mountain Wrestling as the gangsters.
Well, first of all, I got along with both those guys. I'm a bit of a Bolshevik myself, or a rebel or whatever. But, you realize during that time, you brought these two guys into the southeastern United States, and a lot of these in that area are still fighting the war, for Christ's sake, right? And so you got to understand that, especially when New Jack is making O.J. Simpson out to be a hero and that sort of thing. I remember the first. I forget what town we were in when they first came on board. Where we were doing, we used to do a series of four shows, a month's worth of shows at one sitting, and at one point I was out back, and I just overheard one of the deputies, police officers, security guys. I'm not sure exactly what his designation was, but I'm thinking, wow, he's liable to end up shooting one of these guys, opposed to seeing that they get out of town. And I kind of said to him, I said, it's obviously up to you guys to be sure these guys get out of here tonight. And I'm thinking, this is crazy, obviously back then we were still selling the business basically as a shoot, right? At least in Smoky. And and you realize a lot of the fans in that area, I wrestled a lot in that East Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky area from 1968 off and on up through, you mentioned Southeastern, and that was 74 through 81. And so I know the people, and I know how passionate they are about wrestling, and I also know about a lot of their political views, which aren't necessarily mine or shouldn't be theirs, actually. But so these guys, they obviously stood out. I don't know if Jimmy ever mentioned this to you or not, and I know you guys have conversations. You've been on his show, and he's been on yours. And by the way, he's one of my favorite people, too. But he had thought at one point to bring Tony Atlas in and have Tammy manage Tony.
Yes, he told us that. The first time we had Jimmy on our show, he mentioned that to us because my co-host Doc said, "Did you ever think about putting Tammy with New Jack?" And he said, "Well, my original plan was to put Tammy with Tony." So we found that to be ironic. But yes, he did mention that to us.
Yeah, so it was heat, and I won't say at some points maybe it was overdone, but realize that New Jack, Mustafa, those guys, that was kind of raw talent. It wasn't like these guys were seasoned veterans. It wasn't like you brought in a Sonny King or a Tony Atlas or somebody that, had been in the business for a long time and, realized there were going to be boundaries. So there weren't any boundaries for these guys. And I'm relatively sure that I'm probably right that probably by the time they left the territory, I think there were probably 3 or 4 arrest warrants out for New Jack's hide at some point in time. So to say they got over with, I guess it'd be a gross understatement in terms of their heels and they're getting heat. But again, they weren't aware where to shut this down. It wasn't like, I can think back to my in-ring career, and a lot of the old veteran heels you work with, they knew they'd take us to the edge where they could feel the crowd building. If we go one step further, we're liable to have a riot on our hands, right? And so they knew where to shut it down. But these guys were relatively green, so it was like, we're throwing this against the wall. We're not sure what's going to stick and what's not. But, like I say, I had a good relationship with these guys. And with New Jack, I told him a couple of times, I said, Jerome, you've got to understand that people calling you the N-word, you can't fight everybody that does. You got to take that as you're getting over. right? Because you're a heel, and that's what you're trying to create, that kind of situation. So you can't go out there and throw punches at everybody that, calls you a racial slur. You just can't do that. So it was a learning period for them as well as for us, I guess.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a second ago, you were talking about, he's eliciting a response when he's getting that type of reaction from the crowd, which is his point. You mentioned them, I don't know if you said they went too far, but did you ever think they went too far, as per the example when the night they debuted in, it was Warrensville, North Carolina, when New Jack said he thanked OJ for basically having two less people to worry about. Did you think that not just with that, but did you think at any time he almost went too far, or was he just doing his job? Because I feel like he was just doing his job.
Well, I'm sure that, Jimmy a little bit, so there's sometimes I'm not sure he understands the boundaries, right? And when I say that, I love him to death. I've known Jimmy since he was a fan. I think that they were pushing the envelope, and there were times, I don't know if I just at that particular point looked at it as they've gone, one step over the line, but I might have cringed a little bit myself, realizing at that particular time, that OJ thing was such a sore subject anyway, right? And so it created, friction on both sides, whether you were for or against, whether you believed he'd done it or he hadn't done it. It created a lot of, heated discussions with people. So, I would say, I'd have to say, especially in that area, if we were talking about urban Atlanta or New York or something, maybe not, because it's a whole different area. But there, yes, I would have to be, honest to say, I'm sure they took a step or two over the line occasionally.
Yeah, it was. We always say it's. We're actually going to record a couple episodes tonight. It's the third and fourth one that they did, or when they were in. Actually, I'm thinking about it, third and fourth. Technically, it might not be the third and fourth. One of the episodes we're covering is actually Night of Legends, but it's the abbreviated one that you and JR did, where they only aired like 3 matches. The Heavenly Bodies against Storm and Jericho, and then New Jack and Mustafa had their promo, and I think there was a Legends match in there as well. So rock and roll on that one. We're going to review that one tonight. It's just interesting when you hear New Jack cutting those promos. I mean, he really did a good job of getting a reaction from the fans, and Jim Cornette has told us that the heat was good in the big cities. He said the only problem was that the smaller towns, the fans were so upset a lot of times they wouldn't even come. So I guess that answers our question. Too far.
It certainly does. It's funny. I give you a quick story. When I had Heartland Wrestling Association here, and I was at one point developmental trainer for WCW, and then again for WWF/WWE. New Jack had a friend or some kind of connection with Dayton, Ohio, which is just 50 miles north of me, up I-75. And he called me one time and said, hey, brother, when I'm in town, if you can use me on a show, I'd be more happy to work for you. And I said, I don't think I can afford you. He said, oh, I cut you a good price. I said, no, it's not your payoff. It's bail bonds and getting you out of jail. This is the problem. I think it's going to be the most expensive. So, but like I say, I think Jimmy would probably tell you, Jimmy would actually probably have the figure more, tightly tied down than I would. But I think he had, like I say, at least 2 or 3 arrest warrants within that area with his name on them before he left the territory.
Oh my, yeah, something else. So, I will say this: it is good TV. At least we were watching with them in the territory. Hey, you mentioned on Twitter that working with Bob Caudle was special to you. We are obviously huge Bob Caudle fans. God bless him. He's still living. He's just listen to him on commentary. He's just got that voice that you're so familiar with from whether it be Mid-Atlantic or WCW. And now we're getting to the point where his run is about to end in Smoky Mountain. Talk a little bit about working with Bob Caudle, such a special person on commentary.
Well, it's just, it's such a smooth thing to do. And of course, with me as a wrestler, I had, been on shows, when I was working the Tampa territory with Soley, and then obviously when I came into the Carolinas, the first few times before I started doing broadcasting myself, was being on with Bob. But, I have been blessed in terms of broadcasting career. I have shared a microphone with Bob Cottle, Lance Russell, Charlie Platt, Ed Capral, Jim Ross, and Gordon Soley. So if that's kind of not the Mount Rushmore of wrestling broadcasting, I'm not sure what the hell would be. And so it's just, I had that first show that we did together, and I guess if you were watching all these things, but I had said to Jimmy, we had done some pictures of Bob and I when we were doing Mid-Atlantic simulcast. In Raleigh, we used to double tape. In other words, we were both talking about the same matches, but I had the B show and my desk was over here and Bob's was on the other side, and they were running two tape machines upstairs, right? So they're picking up two different broadcasters, but the same match. And so for the Mid-Atlantic magazine and program, there was some pictures, of black and white pictures of Bob and I together. Both of us obviously quite a bit younger. And so that first time that we did the broadcast together, Jimmy opened with that black and white picture and then faded to us at the smoky desk. And so Bob and I have quite a history together, but he's a special guy. I mean, he's just a sweetheart of a guy and so easy to work with. And we did I don't know if they're still out there or not, but a few years ago at the the Charlotte Fan Fest, High Spots had us sit down. They called it they had a series called Old School, and we sat down and talked about our times working together in Mid-Atlantic and Smoky together. But Bob's a treasure. He really is. And there's a guy that he never, and that's something about most of the old broadcasters that actually were serious. When I first started wrestling, a lot of the TV shows, the host was a local disc jockey or a local TV weatherman or kiddie show host, and so a lot of their commentary was to get themselves over, not so much the matches. Mm-hmm. But and the guys that I just mentioned to you that I had the opportunity to work with, that was never the case. Our job and their job, and what I learned from all those people, was our job is to paint a more graphic picture of what you're seeing in the ring and help verbally draw you into what you're watching. And that was, it was never about Bob Cottle. It was always about the product. And I think that's what, helped make him so special, especially back in that era too, even before Smokey.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about working with him, because it's just ringing in my ear, and I'm visually watching it play back. A couple weeks back, we were doing the first episode that the Gangsters came in on, and I don't mention the Gangsters again, but this is the example I'm thinking when you say that. They walk into the building, and you are painting this picture of, they got their own security because they don't trust the police officers that are in the building. And then Bob Cottle, as to sell it even further, says, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, Les. Just kind of selling the circumstance and the situation that's going on. So yeah, definitely, it was interesting watching you two work together. And like you said, back in the old, you're right about the old wrestling days. I mean, because like you said, guys would have jobs with the studio or the station, and then they would call a wrestling, I guess, as part of that, right?
Yeah. Well, Bob did as well, but still, he realized that doing the news or a segment on Channel 5 in Raleigh was one thing, but doing wrestling was another. Again, it was I'm Bob Cottle, the newscaster here. I'm Bob Cottle, the wrestling the wrestling commentator here, and he also, everybody said, well, how smart were these guys? And a lot of times I knew Soley was for a fact, because I knew that before I ever. I met Gordon. You mentioned my Rookie of the Year award, which was presented to me in Tampa, and that's where I first met Gordon and first heard him, and realized there was somebody that actually called professional wrestling in a serious manner. But that was the thing. Gordon was a broadcaster on wrestling, and of course later on that's what Bob became, as well as Lance and well, Jim was always the case with JR, but that's. I especially back then, it probably wouldn't jump off the page at someone in this day and time. But to realize, when as a wrestler, when you've been with these guys who are wanting to make funny remarks or basically come on, like get me over, and they didn't, you wanted to say, listen, jackass, this is not about you, right? If you bring me on your kiddie show, I'll get you over, right? Yeah. But this is not your kiddie show. So to work with people that took what you were doing seriously and sold it seriously, because you realize, again, a lot of people probably listen to you, they don't understand, that the era of kayfabe, as a wrestler, if you were in a bar or a restaurant and somebody got too disparaging with their comments, you'd say, hey, man, there's a big parking lot out here. If you'd like to step outside, I'll be happy to show you what wrestling's about. I mean, that was what we were expected to do. And back in that era, and that's where Smokey kind of bridged that gap, because had somebody have knifed Mustafa or New Jack or even one of the other heels, in that particular part of the country, it wouldn't have been surprising. Realize back when I was a babyface there, a guy by the name of Whitey Caldwell and I worked a huge series when John Kazana had the Knoxville office with the Wright brothers, Ron and Don. Ron had 175 stitches in his back. A fan had zippered him with a knife from his waistline to the base of his neck. I mean, stop and think about that. You're talking about people taking the business seriously, and that's the way we took it, and that's what was expected of these commentators. But again, a lot of the promoters say, hey, and realize we're talking about here too, Mike, the 60s and the 70s. We're not talking about, the inflation. And I mean, back when we're talking about when gasoline was 23 cents a gallon, and et cetera, right? So, hey, here's an extra $25. How about sitting in for an hour and doing our wrestling show? Well, yeah, but I got to get my kiddie show over, or my this show, or there's that show over. So when you work with a Bob Cottle or a Lance Russell or a Gordon Soley, you appreciated them because they were showing respect for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, I enjoyed all those guys. I mean, you're talking about Bob. We're mainly talking about Bob here, but I enjoyed all those guys. You tapped on something just now with Ron Wright. I have heard the story about when he was stabbed and got all those stitches. Talk about, I'm thinking you were only in a few times when Ron Wright was in his main run in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, if I'm thinking correctly. I may be wrong, but it feels like the time when Ron was in Smoky Mountain. Yeah. You got any good Ron Wright stories from Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Like I said, I've heard Ron Wright tell the story. I've heard Ron Fuller, tell the story about the night Ron Wright got stabbed. But Ron Wright was a tremendous person in Smoky Mountain, and it's a shame we don't have more footage of him from his time that wasn't in Smoky Mountain, because he was something else. That guy was a heck of a God. He was a heck of an on-air person. It's hard to explain how great he was in Smoky Mountain to somebody who
technically wasn't a great wrestler. He was a brawler more, but his promos sold the whole picture. Well, I mentioned Whitey Caldwell, and I had a hell of a long run with he and his brother. And in fact, we set an attendance, not a dollar and cents record, because obviously with inflation that's changed over time and again. But we set an attendance record at the Knoxville, the Choway Park Amphitheater that's never been broken in terms of audience. And we drew a huge audience in that same amphitheater when it was raining, for Christ's sake, But that's how hot Ron was as a heel. And, it wasn't uncommon. We had a brawl in Morristown, Tennessee, where we got into a four-way, Whitey and I and the Wrights, and Ron said, throw me out and follow me out. So I pitched him and went out behind him, and he'd shot under the ring. And I went under after him, and so we're obviously on our knees, and there were no skirt on the ring. So, all you had to do was lean down. You could see for all four sides what was going on. So he turned around, we started exchanging shots, and finally he said, I'm going to tape you up. I said, what? And he had a roll of tape in his, athletic tape in his trunks. So he pulls it out and he starts taping me to the ring support, one of the frame. And so he's obviously facing me, and all of a sudden I see his eyes get big, and I hear him swear under his breath. And I said, "What's going on?" Because I'm not in a position to find out, but something behind me is happening. So he starts backing out, going out, backing up and getting away from me. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? And then in my peripheral vision, here comes a fan with a knife who was coming to save my life, right? He was going to cut Ron. and the guy, by this time, Ron's out and back up on the apron and into the ring, and the guy turns around and said, "I'll get you out, Les." I said, "I got it, man." I'm thinking, I don't want you putting that knife near my throat with this damn tape. But that's the kind of heat we had back then, you know? If you've heard the story of Ron Wright, Harlan, he had a small single-engine Piper Cub. And they burned his plane in Harlan, Kentucky.
Yeah, I've heard the story and I read it. Yeah,
if you're talking about heat, brother, it don't get much more serious than that, I don't think.
He was something else. I tell you, the early days of Smoky Mountain Wrestling too, about the first year for sure, he was something else. I mean, his promos every single week. That's why I say I wish we had more footage of him. Every single week, he would just top himself with the amount of just heat that he would generate with all his ailments, and it just was something else to watch him. He was truly something else, and being able to, in my opinion, like that old adage of talk people into the building. It just seemed like he was really good at that in his role. And then when he finally, turns and gets some sympathy on him, it was just tremendous watching him do his work. And it's always fun to hear Ron Wright stories. I wish he was alive. There's so much I'd want to ask him right now. It's not funny.
Yeah, he was a character. There's no two ways about it. And of course, in terms of the Smokey thing, you give part of that to Corny's creative genius as well. Jimmy. I'll say this today, and I'll say it to anybody that's listening. Jimmy Cornette is still one of the most creative minds in wrestling that's still above ground. I mean, legitimately is. And of course, that was part of the allure of Smoky Mountain anyway, was his creative genius. I mentioned the WFI, Wrestling Fans International Association. They used to have a convention in a different promotion's home city around the country every year. And this was back when fan clubs, and newsletters were a big part of professional wrestling. This was in the 60s to 70s. And so in 1978, they had the convention in Knoxville. It was Southeastern Wrestling. And Jimmy won Best Action Photo by a Fan. That's where I first met him. And, we initiated the first sit-down interview type of thing called Personality Profile on Southeastern Wrestling. That was one of my brainchild. So anyway, I had a guy by the name of Jim Ross, who, not RJR, but he was the president of WFI at the time. Jim Melby, was one of the great historians of the wrestling business, and worked up in Minneapolis with AWA. And Jimmy I had them on Personality Profile. We taped it on a Friday night before the show because at that time we didn't want to smarten anybody up. We didn't want to be in a studio with the boys, right, in case they see a heel talking to a babyface, although maybe they were smart. Hell, I don't know. But that's how I first met Jimmy. And I went to the hotel the one night, and we were talking about different things, and I had ideas, was sharing some ideas I had for the opening of Southeastern, because I had been given, Ron Fuller gave me carte blanche to build me a show. And we had the best damn show in the business at that point in time. I don't mind saying so. And I knew Jimmy, started managing, and we had lost, we never ran across one another, maybe a hello here or there. So actually, when Smokey started, Jimmy had Tim Horner call me. And he said, Jimmy wants you to be his lead announcer. I was initially supposed to be the lead announcer. And in part because of our meeting in 1978. And of course, I had a history as lead announcer through Southeastern, through several incarnations of Southeastern, through Fuller and Barnett, and then Crockett, Mulligan, and Flair. So, but I was also, at the time, I was doing competitive bodybuilding, plus I was training bodybuilders here in Cincinnati. And I told Timmy, I said, right now I'm preparing for a contest. So I would drive you guys crazy because I have to eat every 3 hours and I have to have certain meals. I can't have, Colonel Sanders or Subway or something like that because, you're dieting down for a competition. So at this point, as much as I'd like to do it, and like I say, I was working with a guy that had a gym here that trained professional bodybuilders and amateurs as well. So that's basically, I'm not saying Bob is second choice by any stretch of the imagination because I wouldn't consider Bob ever second choice, but that's how Bob ended up being the lead announcer to begin with. So then one day I was at World Gym here, coming out of the shower, and the guy at the front desk said, "You need to call home." Jimmy had my mom's phone number. Your mother needs to talk to you. So I called. She said, "Jimmy Cornette said he needs you," and I forget what town in Kentucky it was in, Mike, but Bob Cottle's ill and can't show up, right? So I rush home, get dressed, get in the car, and run the hell down there. And that's the first time I worked. Well, I'd wrestled Dutch in Southeastern Wrestling. We had Nelson Ramon and I had a great tag team program for the Southeastern tag titles with Dutch and old shooter John Foley, the old Englishman. And so I knew Dutch, and that's the first time we worked together. And then when Dutch was headed back to Puerto Rico to be the booker again, that's how it came that, Bob and I started working together.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually was going to ask you that. My co-host Doc wanted me to ask you about how did it come to be so that you actually ended up replacing Dutch. I did not know the story about you prior to when Smokey was starting, that you initially maybe was going to be, well, I don't want to say maybe it was going to be, but that you got a call from Jimmy to be the lead announcer. I do remember, though, when Bob was not at a set of TV tapings, and I actually I was going to ask Jimmy that question. I was going to ask Cornette that question next time I talked to him because I was wondering what the circumstances were around that. But it sounds like you're telling me. I'm thinking if it's the taping I'm thinking about, you were there and Bob Cottle wasn't. And it was really weird the way it happened. But that's interesting. So I think I actually think you may have answered a question I had about why Bob Cottle missed about 3 to 4 TVs at one point. And then later on, once Dutch is gone, you end up obviously taking Dutch's place when he went to Puerto Rico. So I was curious how all that happened, but interesting story right there you just gave.
Yep, that's how it all worked. And then of course Bob, my God, he put in a lifetime of wrestling and so forth. And it was just that he was getting tired of making the trips, and so, and of course, then and Dutch came in and did a few sets with me, but JR had left WWE or WWF at the time. And so, here's another funny story. You mentioned the Night of Legends, which to me, the lead into the little segments Jimmy and I did as a lead in, I think is some of the best work I've ever done. I just enjoyed it, I guess.
Can I stop you for 1 second and tell you about those? Because those are really enjoyable. And here's why I say that. I'm not from that area. So while I knew a little bit about some of the stuff you talked about leading up to the Night of Legends, because I think it was like maybe 6, 7, 8 weeks straight where those segments ran. That is some really good stuff to watch. You kind of walk through the history, and it wasn't just recent history. I mean, you guys went really far back in some instances, but I thought that was really, really cool to do leading up to that big show.
Well, when I had mentioned the amphitheater at Shoutouts Park, I introduced a couple segments from there, from out front of the park and from inside the park. I'm inside the amphitheater as well. It was empty at the time, but that was so much fun to do. But so, a funny story, the Night of Legends is the first time JR and I had ever sat down at a desk together. And, I'd met Jim, and hello, how are you? I mean, we weren't bosom buddies. We had never worked together, never worked for the same company, as a matter of fact. So anyway, midway through the show at the Legends, they took a break. The camera guys had to reload, put more film in or whatever. And we went to the back to get a drink, use the bathroom. So as I was coming through, Terry Funk said, "Hey man, I've been watching this on the monitor." He said, That's the way a wrestling match should be called, the way you and JR are doing it. He said, how long have you and Jim worked together? And I looked at my watch. I said, about an hour and a half. He said, oh, bullshit. I said, no, that's how long we've worked together. But that's how easy it was. You know, and I've said, I guess I'm patting myself on the back. Well, but when you take professionals, it's like a match in the ring. You may have never worked with this guy, but once you figure out each other's rhythm, it just falls into place, you know. And that's what I said. These guys that I said, this is probably their Mount Rushmore of announcers, wrestling announcers that I've been blessed to work with. There's never been, wow, this is tough, you know, or this is hard. I don't know how to work with this guy, or this guy's, you know. It's always been such an honor and a pleasure to work with these guys. But one of the nicest compliments, it never actually was given to me face on, but Jimmy had sent out a newsletter or something to all the talent, the wrestling talent in Smokey about making announcements. We need to change this, do this, or do that. And one of them showed it to me, and this is when JR and I started working together there. And he said, we now have the best announce team in the business. And I don't know that I could ask for a better compliment than that. And again, part of that is when you're working with great people, then they make you better.
Yeah, I tell you what, I really like you and JR on the Thrill Seekers and Heavenly Bodies match. I thought y'all, it was just really, really good. And I guess I realized that was you and him your first time together, but I mean, it's not like you're going to announce that, but it's interesting that was, you know, you guys had only been doing it at that point for an hour and a half. And it was really good. It was some tremendous stuff. That was a great call though with those two teams. I really enjoyed that match, and oh my God, Jericho looked like he just was slaughtered. The amount of blood was, I've seen a lot of wrestling matches, Les, and that was a lot of blood. I mean, he really was bleeding. He was gushing.
If Jimmy could have found a baseball bat to beat him over the head with when he found out he broke his arm, it would have been more blood than you saw in the match. I remember that. We were doing promos in the back, right? And somebody came in and said, they've just rushed Jericho to the hospital, and Jimmy just, what? Yes, he was trying this in the ring, and he broke. I said, oh, Jimmy. Well, you've heard Jimmy go ballistic before, so I don't need to even try to imitate Jimmy. And I thought, oh my God, of all the times, you know. But you realize that the amount of talent that we had on that show. And, you know, realized that Smokey was syndicated, or was on, what was it, the satellite, the USA satellite, or something, All-American satellite or something at that particular time, Smokey and ECW. And I think Jarrett's promotion out of Memphis were all on this satellite thing. In fact, there was a small low-power station here in Cincinnati that picked all their shows up off the satellite as well. But you know, it was, we had fans.
There was a ton of talent on that card, though.
Yeah, we had fans from California in for that show. There, you know, they had the meet and greet thing, the VIP deal, before the show. And so we're circulating with the fans for that and taking pictures with them and this and that and the other thing. So there was this husband and wife and a friend of theirs, who came up and introduced themselves, and we talked, and they were from, I forget where in Southern California, you know, but they're from Southern. I said, so you came in for fan weekend? No, we've got a flight out tomorrow. They flew in for the show and caught a flight out of Knoxville back to California the next morning because they had to be to work first of the week. But that's how hot that show was, where it could be seen. I mean, and if you stop to think about, in terms of the, you know, you might call it a low budget, you know, production in comparison to what WWF was at the time, or WCW or anything else. And yet, you know, the stories were that compelling, and the people got emotionally involved enough to come from all around the damn country for that Night of Legends.
Yeah, I've heard Jim tell the story about when Jericho broke his arm. And the thing was about that, like, everybody needs to realize they had spent X amount of hours on TV building up this match between the Heavenly Bodies and the Thrill Seekers, and Chris Jericho broke his arm. I thought he gutted it out, though. You know, he came out there, he had the brace on, and he worked the match, and he got through it. And And my God, he was bloody, but it was a heck of a night. It really was. Not just the matches, but they honored so many great people like Ron Wright and everyone who got honored that was there. Just tremendous stuff. And again, I guess I realized it, but I don't know if I realized it that you and JR were. That was your first time on commentary together. So, not to toot your horn, but I'm going to do it. That was a heck of a night of calling the action by you two, for sure.
It was just a great night, and I think all the way across the board. Well, Phil Rainey, when you watch the Hall of Fame presentations, the guy that helped me at the Hall of Fame, he was my first broadcast partner on Southeastern. When we went to WBR, when we went to CBS affiliate in 1975, Phil was my co-host, and he actually worked. He was a sportsman on another station on the ABC affiliate, But now here was a guy who never tried to get himself over. One of the cool things about working with Phil on the Southeastern shows were, as a fan, he would interject things, but he would ask me legitimate questions, which gave me an opportunity to embellish what we were watching, because he would ask, well, why is this guy doing this, or why isn't he going back to that? And Phil's passed away, I don't know how many years ago it's been, but really nice guy. And so he was the guy helping with the awards. And if you remember, I mentioned Whitey Caldwell. Nancy, his wife, accepted for Whitey that night. Whitey had been killed in a car wreck with some drunk driver that hit him head on. And but yeah, that was I guess say that's to me one of the favorite shows that I've ever been a part of. Well, we're talking about the thrill seekers. I remember Jimmy telling me these two young guys are coming in, they're this and that, and as much as the gangsters got over with the heat, and you might say they were a little ahead of their time, but Lance and Chris didn't get over as strong as they. Well, of course they were. It was their first run in the States, and they were still, in the process of improving their in-ring product as well as promos and stuff. And they didn't. The fans in that area weren't as much into the aerial stuff, and so in actuality they were ahead of their time when they came in there.
Yeah, I've said for when they come in, it's so wrestling was so much different. When I grew up, because like I said, I grew up on Mid-South, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I remember, when you had the territories and they were alive, I can remember guys coming in very young, their first few matches, and they weren't judged immediately by, they're going to make it just on this one thing. And the example I'll give is, I do a show with Brian Lass on the Mid-South Television Review Show, and we were just reviewing an episode a few weeks back where Dr. Death makes his debut. And when you see Dr. Death when he first starts, it's a total different person than you see him, just 3 to 4 years later. The reason I say that is, and I've heard Jimmy say this about Chris Jericho and Lance Storm, like you see some of their early, I guess, work in the ring and how they look. They weren't bad at all. You could tell they were young though. And then, but you also look at their promos. Chris Jericho's promos got exponentially better over the years. I mean, he's just tremendous. But you watch him in early Smoky Mountain, not say early, but in '94 when he comes in, he looks totally different. But it's just nice. Back in the territories, you would see, to me, I feel like guys would have more time to grow. And you saw that with Jericho and Lance Storm. The area, like you said, they maybe weren't into the whole aerial thing. And it's funny you bring that up because I can remember you and Bob Cottle on commentary, even, just calling the moves was different. It sounded like for you guys, you can tell me that. But if I'm right or wrong, but that was even different too. So it was like they would do these innovative moves, and you're right. Sometimes the crowd wasn't sure how to react or wasn't sure what was what, but they were definitely innovative. I mean, they were something else. And I mean, it's easy now to look at them and go, oh, you could see they were going to make it. But, who knew back then? But they grew so much, and they weren't bad. It's just that you can see how much they grew from that time in '94 to, I mean, look at Chris Jericho. He's still doing it to this day.
Yeah, and Lance was a hell of a performer too. Technically, extremely good. And I've had the opportunity to work. We've become very close, and I've had the chance to work with him in training seminars. And he's a very talented trainer as well. So, so they both have progressed in their own way in different avenues, but still, both of them continue to grow and improve on what they were doing.
That was part 1 with Les Thatcher. Man, that was a great time. I really enjoyed talking to him. Harper, great interview, wasn't it? I'm not trying to put myself over or nothing, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about Les. He was great, not me. I was just there talking to him. But good dude, though. Real good man. Enjoyed having him. Yeah, and we will air part 2 next week where everyone can hear the rest of it. But it really was a good time. I had a lot of fun. Harper, we got to plug Wildcat Sports. So March 13th, Wednesday night, just about a week away from the time this airs, 601 Carondelet Street, New Orleans, Louisiana.
That's true, huh? Man, that's around the corner.
Yeah, it's Wildcat Sports Lucha Libre. Can you tell me anything other than the fact that
fucking Bestia.
Bestia.
Bestia, Black Taurus. Damien's gonna be there as Bestia's dad.
That Black Taurus dude is pretty bad, dude. He's
dude, and he fucking wrestles with that mask on. Imagine how fucking hot that must be. Trying to breathe with that shit on.
I will pass.
Yeah.
I will pass. But it's Lucha Libre, Wildcat style, Wednesday, March 13th. 601 Carondelet Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, if you're there. So make sure you go check it out. Harper works for Wildcat, so go support him if you're in the area, if you're anywhere near the area. So have fun. It'll be a good card.
Our boys are going to beat the shit out the Paw Patrol.
Oh, Jesus.
Matt Lancey and Edrin Stone.
That should be too hard to beat the piss out the Paw Patrol, though.
I know, huh? Because they're bitches, bro.
I agree. Total bitches.
Jarrett Wayne, Kurt Matthews.
Bunch of pretty boy pricks, bro.
Johnny's hoe ass.
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely. But that's that. So I'm trying to think, Harper. I don't want to miss anything, man. Go buy some T-shirts. Go join the Facebook group. Just search Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast. You'll find it. That'll help us out. Also, become a patron. It's tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. You get all the extra shows, the world-class shows, the pre-shows that we do, the video review shows. Over 150 additional episodes are up at Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. And I think that's about it, man. So, Harper, anything else before we get out of here, bud?
That's it, bro.
I got something for you. That's what I wanted to play. I did this on the pre-show with Doc, and I want your comments on something that I played for him. And you and I talked about. I sent this to you the other day as well, but I got to play this for you because it's so great. It's a clip from The Sopranos, and tell me your thoughts on this after we listen to it. Here it is.
Lunch is ready. Wash my hands. You just washed your hands. Then I tied my shoes. So what? I can't stand touching fucking shoelaces. Ever go to tie your shoes and you notice the end of your laces are wet? From what? Why would they be wet? I got no fucking idea. You go to public bathrooms? You stand at the urinal? Oh, fuck, come on, will you? He's asking me, I'm telling him. And frankly, it's important. Even if the lace is dry, and even if you don't touch the body of the shoe, bacteria and viruses migrate from the sole up. You see this on TV? I gotta watch TV to figure out the world. Your average man's shit house is a fucking sewer. You look at ladies' johns, you could eat maple walnut ice cream from the toilets. There's exceptions. But a men's? It's all over the fucking floor. Urinals jammed with cigarettes and mothball cakes. And they can pour all the fucking ice they want down there, my friend. It does nothing to kill germs. Even if you keep your shoes tied and you're not dragging your laces through urine, oh, shut the fuck up. Ready.
Harper, I love that scene. Is he telling the truth?
Dude, I don't know, women's bathrooms can be fucking gross because they have periods.
Well, see, I don't know if I totally agree with him about that part because you're right. I've seen some pretty terrible women's bathrooms when I used to be a janitor, old jobs back in the day. But he ain't lying, bro, about like dragging your shoelaces, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Jesus Christ. You know what I mean?
Fucking piss off. I can't stand it when you go into it's like, why you got piss on the floor, man? Why? It's right there.
Just aim that shit, right?
I can't stand it, and they piss all over the seat. For what?
I don't get it, bro.
I can't stand that shit.
I don't. I'm right there with you, man.
Fuck.
I'm right there with you. It's like, come on, dude, grow up, right?
For real, grow the fuck up.
Just the urinal's right there.
Yeah, man.
It's not that hard to hit the fucking urinal.
Fuck.
You see some dirty urinals during Mardi Gras time too.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna get out of here. That's a wrap. I don't have anything else. Harper doesn't have anything else. Thank you to all the patrons out there, and we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Remember, next week, Starcade Part 1 and Les Thatcher Part 2. So, for Mike and Doc and Hardbody Harper, do us all a favor. Hit the tagline. Take us home.
Fuck it, bitch.
Thank you to all the patrons out there. We appreciate you being a patron each and every month for Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast and making this show possible twice a week with the Smoky Mountain Review Show and the NWA Show. And a special shout out to all of the Hall of Fame patrons: Marlon Mealer, Josh Warren, Everett Starr, Mike Childry, K_Row86, Disrespectfully Classy Marky Blassie, Jeffrey, Craig Norman, Johnny on Patreon, the great John Dean, at YRC21, Josh Dunn, at Ryan in Auburn, good old Justin, Robert Smith, Joseph Ice, Tim Arechi, the BTT, what am I looking for, Tim? The BTT Research Department, there you go. Adam Price, Brian Evans, Mark Wilson, Armando Martinez, David Jordan, Jesse Jacobs, Josh Fields, Chris Myers, Gerald Green, Mitchell Johnson, Mike Pru, Will Parker, Jeremy Bryant, Classy Alex, Slider 91 US, David DeVries, Frog Zeppelin, SV Pagem, Bill Salsa, Big Rich, at Spyboy Sports Cap, Ari Miller 39, Dustin Roberts, Jay Shiny 21, Ruben Espinoza, and Merciless Jones, Jesse Lucas, Chris Browning, Justin _Andretti, Coleman 822, Marty Howell, and T-Hog 94. Thank you for being Hall of Fame patrons. There's a lot of you out there now, and I definitely appreciate you being Hall of Fame patrons. So thank you very much. And also, before I get out of here, you heard Doc earlier in the show mention the Bottom Line Cast. So check out my buddy Mike Pru as they go through the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Him and his buddy JV break down the career of Stone Cold month by month on a weekly basis. I believe now they are up to 1998. Could be wrong, but go back and check out their 1996, 97 episodes. Or just dive in on the most current episode and enjoy. New episodes, they come out every single Wednesday on all their platforms. So there you go. Check it out. Mike Pru's show, The Bottom Line Cast. You can also follow them on Twitter at Bottom Line Cast. That's all I have. Thanks again to all the patrons out there, and I hope you enjoyed this week's show.